Don't blink if you're bleeding. Welcome to the show. We're doing well because I'm having a wonderful day on this 7th July 2005. We just had a downpour, which is crazy because I made a TikTok live at 11. It was 12 o'clock. We made it for 30 minutes and then we took a little break to upload some videos and then it's raining hard and now it stopped raining. So yeah, kind of crazy thing. Today, we're talking about a subject that is kind of hard to talk about. It isn't the most pleasant of things. We're talking about loneliness and why loneliness is one of the worst thing in the world. Now, I want to make it clear. When I made this video, when I thought about this video was last week. Right now, we're surrounded with people. I have amazing friends. My community is there. They were super there for me yesterday. Super present for me. They love the hair, which is great because I want to talk about loneliness because there is time where I still feel lonely, and I want to talk about how much of how hard, not how hard it is, but how crazy. Because you would think that loneliness wouldn't be one of the hardest thing to do, but why is it one of the hardest thing to do? I think first of all, what is loneliness? I wish I had ChatGPT. I wish I had ChatGPT. I'm gonna start. Oh fuck. If I do that, I'm not gonna be able to do the 3 towers. God damn it. Loneliness is kind of crazy because you can be a room full of people and still feel lonely. So the offset of the loneliness was during the 24th June 2025. You guys remember we had a concert. I recognized some people, but didn't recognize me, which is okay because I didn't talk to these people in years. So yeah, it's kind of nuts. It's kind of nuts because this is really the first time I felt lonely in a while. See, when it was last year and I was obsessed with making content, I was lonely. Did I feel lonely? No. Which is also a weird thing because then it's completely psychological. There's time where you're supposed to feel that way and you don't feel that way. So at the same time, it's kind of weird because something that affects you, for example, depression. Most of the time you're gonna feel depressed, right? Loneliness is this crazy thing where there's no clear. When you're depressed, you're like, okay, well, I can tell why I'm depressed. I can tell why I'm sad, right? And then when you think about lonely, you're like, I don't understand because I'm not lonelier than I was this morning, and this morning I wasn't feeling it. So there's like almost a set of like almost a switch. We saw a small video. Oh, super nice, amazing. A good friend of mine commented, look how dark it is. Yeah, it's gonna be. I'm hoping for thunder, but I'm not sure. It'll be crazy. And it was showing how different. So, for example, anxiety, depression, loneliness, anger, happiness. They did a what you call it? It's kind of like a heat vision where you see the body part, but it's more so how the body is activated, what part of the body are activated. So neurons and the part that makes you feel stuff. Neurons are actually kind of cool because they're making you feel emotion, but they're also making you feel physical pain or physical warmth or shit like that. So it's kind of really cool. They're your sensors. And they were showing how they were activated, and it showed how differently it was activated. So that was kind of cool. But with loneliness, and it's such a weird thing because I'm supposed to like loneliness because when I was a kid, I chose loneliness. When I was a young adult, I chose loneliness. When I moved in an apartment, I chose loneliness. And most of the time, I'm choosing loneliness. Somebody, put in the TikTok comment there. They're insisting that we keep a streak on. I don't really know them, so I'm like, dude, you know. Look at it. Am I still recording? I'm not. Oh, for fuck's sakes. You're such a dumb. I hate you. You are. Okay, no, never mind. I'm sorry. I thought it was not recording. I just changed the place and I changed the place for the worst thing. One of the worst positions possible. Loneliness also affects all of us as a society. And of course you can tell that it's such a weird thing. Because this is one of the things that you know exactly what it is, but I don't know how to explain it. Everybody in the world will feel emotion. That's normal. And everybody in the world will feel some of the same emotion at different time. It's kind of life. The craziest thing is, for example, you take the pandemic and how lonely people felt. and how many people really were depressed because of that in Canada, but also in most of the country that are that have winter. There's something called a seasonal depression because you cannot go out. One of the reasons that you can't go out is, and even then, I was talking about how you can feel lonely in a room full of people, but it's not that. Sometimes you feel like, for example, like a concert. You go to a concert, right? And you don't know half of these people. You don't know 10% of these people, but you're all there for the same thing, you know? And it's kind of nuts. It's kind of really nuts. And then, at the same time, um, you feel surrounded by people that have common interests with you, right? Or right now is a Comic Con in Montreal. So the Comic Con is for people that like anime. And the cool thing is, with the Comic Con is also a group of people that have the same interest as you. You go to the gym. The gym is people that want to get in shape. You go to your a movie. We're all going to see the same movie. You're going to a card shop and you're taking place in the tournaments. You're always doing that, right? And then, but the loneliness is also, like for example, right? When you feel sad, what is the remedy for sadness? Happiness. Can you feel too sad, too happy? Not really. The remedy for anger, right, is relaxing. Can you be too relaxed? Not really, right? But then the opposite of loneliness is being surrounded and being social and being with your peers. Can you be too social? Yes, because then you have something called the social battery, which is your tolerance into being room full of people. You know, so this is actually pretty cool. This is actually really really cool because this is one of the only emotion that doesn't really have a countermeasure, right? It kind of sucks. It kind of really sucks, but hey, at the same time, it doesn't really matter because all of this, right? All of this is all matter of facto, but really matter of facto. For example, right? You have friends. The thing with loneliness is you'll call friends, and if you don't have a big group of people, you'll always call each other, right? And the thing with loneliness that's kind of cool is if you're lonely, chances are that other people are lonely. So it's like, hey, you want to go out? Like, okay, let's go. And it's more so a case of, yeah, let's just chill because I feel lonely, right? With me, there's been time lately where I feel lonely. Like for example, when I started a job, I was like, oh, I'm gonna make some new friends. But then I saw the team that I had, and even then, even if I was like, and the concept is kind of crazy because I have social, and I knew that this job was temporary, right? So I'm like, okay, well, those social interaction, those sort of relationship, if I get one friend, I'm good. The rest are possibly gonna be more temporary, right? So it's not really worth it. For example, also social media. I'm meeting people. I know. Well, I can be surprised, of course, but I know are not gonna be steady for the account. I had a person yesterday blocked me because I wasn't going to her live enough for her, and I was like, dude, that's kind of crazy, right? Or there's a person, and today I had a live, and then it's such a fucking mentality, a shitty mentality. I'm going to this person live a lot, and then today they just came and they just left, and I was like, my first thought was like, okay, well, it's because I'm talking alone, right? Did I feel lonely? Yes and no. Yes and no. Because I had a lot of people in life and I talked to a lot of people, which is cool. But I was supposed to spend a day with my mom. So I prepared myself to be like, yo, I'm going to have conversation, I'm going to have social life with my mom, you know? But then you have a life and that's kind of cool, but when the life is closed, you know? And then it's kind of complex because how much social you need, how much social you don't need. There's a day where you don't feel like it. I feel like today because it's super rainy, you feel kind of stuck at home, you know? And again, it was like about seasonal depression. Because I'm stuck at home. Can I go out? Can I see people? You know? Then what is the remedy? So you go talk to people, right? But when you talk to people, you're talking, and I don't think it's nice. I don't think it's bad, but I don't think it's nice. You talk to people, right? And you talk to your friends. But they're working, they're busy. It's like, oh, okay, well, I'm going to talk to other people I don't really talk to. And kind of the morally wrong thing to do is you talk to those people because you're lonely, not because you want to talk to these people, right? and that kind of stuff. That's that kind of stuff, because I feel like real strength come from within. Somebody that's going to be able to be on their own and to be secure on their own, but also be self-entertained. Like, for example, for food, right? I have enough food to last 4 or 5 months. Why do I constantly go shopping? Well, I constantly go shopping because um, I constantly go shopping because I'm in a position where I'm like, I kind of need to go out. I kind of need to go buy some food. And even then, this is kind of like one of the craziest behavior. You're so used to buying some food, and it's hard to tell your brain you don't need food. You have enough food, you know, because it's in the behavior, it's in your pattern. Go to the shopping and go do the shopping and buy some food, etc. You know. Yeah, it's kind of crazy. It's kind of nuts, to be honest. But then it's normal behavior. Like when you go to school, right? The first day of the school, what does most parents say? You're gonna make some friends. They don't think you're gonna be learning some stuff. You're gonna be making some friends, right? And even as a kid, you have your kid in kindergarten, right? And this is also some kind of like almost twisted, almost ironic. You're gonna have your kids in the kindergarten. Why? Because you want your kid to be able to function in society, to make some friends. But then you're taking kids and you're basically teaching them that, okay, well, you constantly need to be surrounded with people, right? We don't really teach kids to be self-sufficient. We don't really teach kids to be okay on their own, right? But then it's kind of counter nature. My apologies. Kind of counter nature because we're social beings, right? We are very extremely social. Even if you look at the very beginning, we created society, we created the nation, we created a group of people, you know, and this is the beginning. And of course, there's a chance of survival, which is higher. Right now, we're watching Squid Game, which is a lot of Christian society, right? And then in the show, you can easily feel like some people are feeling lonely because they don't know who to trust, and because they don't know who to trust, they feel lonely. So this is why we need a description for lonely. The description for lonely is super important because if you can be lonely in a room full of people, then being lonely is not being alone, right? Is it trusting? Is it I feel in a certain emotion, I don't know who to talk about? And stuff. It was my friend anniversary with him yesterday, so I didn't know, and I avoided social media because we had there's simple drama. It's not a big deal. And then today he's like, what was drama? And I'm like, don't worry about it, it's okay. And then he thinks that I don't want to talk about it because I don't want to bother him, right? So it's like, dude, I'm here for you. And I'm like, I'm okay. But is it? It's also the thing. Like, for example, you'll certain people, when they need to be okay, they'll push away people, right? So when these people tell you I'm okay, and like, okay, well, I know you're not that you're lying, and sometimes you're lying, but sometimes it's the truth. For example, yesterday, yes, it was a drama, but so dumb. A person that I used to talk to every single day, and we were friends. We stopped being friends because she stopped talking to me. Then she started doing live, and she was telling me to come here, to come to the live, and I was like, dude, it's too much. You're sending me 4 or 5 invitations per day. You're sharing your shit too. It's too much. And then she blocked me, which means we were never friends with. Now, losing a friend, kind of shitty. Losing a friend that wasn't really a friend, it's a good thing. It's a good thing. You're gonna keep people around that are not true friends. No, right? So then, if he thinks that I'm being dishonest, because usually I'm being dishonest when it comes to. Usually I'm being dishonest when it comes to that, you know. And is it bad? Yes. Usually be dishonest? No. But at the same time, it's part of. I don't know. It's part of us as a micro society, right? I just realized that I'm not uploading. Now, what I mean by micro society, and this is also important because you talk about loneliness. I think that if I'm going to do a video on loneliness, I have to talk about being well surrounded and being socially like in a good place. I think one of the bad thing is you have your own inner circle. Like, for example, you with your own friend. So even though society as a whole is your social ground, it doesn't mean that it's your social ground. Your micro organism or your micro society, which is your job, your family, your friends, they're your society, right? And then you're just part of a broader thing. For example, talk about how when people ask me, I say I'm French Canadian. I'm Canadian, right? But then, ultimately speaking, what am I? Am I from Canada? Well, I'm more from Quebec. Am I from Quebec? Well, I'm more from Montreal. Am I from Montreal? No, I'm from Lachine. You know? So degrees. And then my true community, which would be in real life, would be my city, which is Lachine, right? But then, that's not the case. That is not the case. Because then you realize that Lachine is actually pretty small. And then you would go to Montreal, which is the island of Montreal. I live on the island of Montreal. You would realize that, this is kind of my city, dude. This is kind of my island, right? But it's huge. It's huge. And then at the same time, socially speaking, your circle is as big as you make it, right? For example, since we don't go out a lot, then it could be a case of I don't really feel like this is my city because already when I'm going out, it's already a lot, you know? For example, somebody that doesn't go out, they go out a little bit and like, holy shit, dude, you went out, right? Which is kind of nuts in itself. Kind of nuts, to be honest. But it's so cool. It's so cool because right now we're uploading because I need to. It's so cool because you are in charge of your own kind of balance, right? There's time in life where you're like, I have enough friends. And there's time in life where I need more friends. With content creator, you kind of see that. You kind of see the mods. Like, for example, mods are a big thing. So mods, and again, I'm going to talk about social media in this loneliness video, but it's a parasocial. So mods are closer to you than just a viewer because you trust them, right? But then a mod in itself is closer to you, so more friendly towards you. You feel surrounded. For example, big content creator, huge content creator, what they're going to do is they're going to have a talk with other mods. You're going to have some meeting with all the mods. They're going to go out, you know, which is actually cool to do, right? But then this whole thing with social media is parasocial. So, with parasocial, you're getting this social. I'm using this term a lot lately. I know it's not good to use, but meth. It's a horrible thing to say, but I like it. So meth is a drug, right? You get addicted to meth really quickly. The thing to make you unaddicted to meth is called methadone. So methadone is the addictive factor of meth without it being like well, I'm not saying that you should take that, but it's like a nicotine patch, to be honest, right? And because it's like a nicotine patch, then you're like, okay, well, guess what? I can go a day, I can do 2 days without it, and then slowly speaking, just like cigarettes, what you do is, from what I understood, I haven't been addicted to it, thank God. From what I understood is, at first you go with, I can eat 2 patches a day, and like, okay, well, you know what? I don't need this to smoke. And smoking is kind of like a really good example of social. So, for example, smoking, right? One of the hardest things to stop smoking is the movement, the muscle memories. So, in your brain, you're constantly doing this, or you're constantly doing this, right? Depends on what you're smoking. And then you stop. So, the first thing that you need is nicotine. But then you find yourself, think about nicotine. You see a lot of smokers, they're gonna suck on something. They're gonna suck on a pen, right? And that's a behavior, that's a muscle memory, something that makes you feel like home. Like, for example, the kids, the babies, you're gonna see them sucking on their tongue a lot, right? So the reason why they're sucking on their tongue is because their teeth are growing. So sucking on the tongue is actually appealing to the teeth. It hurts less. So then it becomes part of a comfort system, right? So they're gonna be sucking on the tongue. They're gonna have a pacifier. They're gonna chew on the pacifier, chew on the tongue, right? It's not hurtful. It's not a bad behavior. And like, okay, well, you gotta grow out of this source of comfort, right? Because you have to grow out of this social comfort. Like, okay, well, stop sucking on your tongue. And it's hard because it's a muscle memories, right? So for social behavior, it's the same thing. For example, right, I do my streams, my lives. And my live is a perfect example because I do 30 minutes, 45 minutes, 50 minutes maximum. Because this is my social batteries. So if I did less, I'm like, you know what, let's go live again. And if I did more, it would be weird because I'm like, okay, well, my social battery is kind of done. Of course, you have good days. So something that affects your behavior. So because you affect your behavior, you're affecting every single emotion. You're happy, right, because you have good behavior, or you feel more social because I'm fucking happy. Let's share this with the world. Doesn't matter how they care. Doesn't matter how they see it. I'm happy. You know, that's cool. It was really cool, actually. Really fucking cool. So yeah, but it's such a crazy thing because, like I was saying, at a very young age, you establish social behavior. Don't bite people. Don't push people. Don't punch people. That's not nice. You know. And the parents, your hope is that your friend will make a lot of friends. And then it's kind of crazy because you hope your kids will make a lot of friends, but most of these kids are fucking ruthless. And they're not going to be good friends, right? Because they didn't learn to be good friend yet. I like to say that I was a shitty friend with a good intention, and I have to say that right now I'm an okay friend, right? I'm an okay friend. I don't know if I'm the best. I don't think I'm the best. I very much so don't think I'm the best, but at the same time I try, you know? That's behavior. And socially speaking, some people are going to be smart. Some people are going to be like street smart, book smart. Socially is a kind of smart itself. You know how to talk to people. You know how to get people. Like salesmen have a lot of charisma. That's a skill. That's a skill that you can train. It's a skill that I don't think you're born with. But at the same time, you're kind of born with it. And then loneliness affects people in different ways. Take an extrovert, right? That likes to talk to people. That likes to go out and just have fun. And then take an introvert, which is more so somebody that's going to stay inside and stick to themselves. Then the introvert, you would think that socially speaking, they're as adept as that, but at the same time, no. Because what if the introvert, okay, that's going to sound so bad, but I don't mean it in a bad way. What if the introvert had a fake profile, not a fake profile picture, but had a, like it's not him, it's not a picture, and he has a completely different name, and it's not really him talking. Then the introvert possibly doesn't have a lot of confidence in himself or herself. And what they do is, with that identity, a social identity, and they can be very social, so they have a social fix. And then the greatest thing with that is they stay introverted because that's in your nature, but they're becoming more and more socially intelligent, right? One of the shows that I like the most is Big Bang Theory. Look at season 1, Sheldon, which is completely inept, socially speaking. And then that season, and the final season is actually pretty good, right? And then the extrovert who, just like me, has to learn to take his place. Has to learn that, bro, you're talking a lot, or bro, you're taking a lot of space, or bro, you should listen to people, bro, stop cutting people off, you know? That's socially speaking. And then the greatest thing that ever happened is that you get social norms. Like, everybody's gonna be different, and everybody's gonna have their patience and their tolerance of socially speaking, right? But then you enter a subject of what is morally wrong. Like, don't hurt animals. If you hurt animals, everybody's gonna say, oh, he's an asshole. So socially we have rules, and it's a good thing. I crazily enough will go on my scooter, right? And it's not a really social thing. However, I'm here with drivers, and then you have to be social. You have to be like, okay, well, this is your turn to pass. Please pass and be kind to people, and that is a social interaction. And then you got the worst thing. The worst thing with that is that you realize that loneliness, the truth of loneliness, is just social interaction. And then this is the insane part. Can you quantify happiness? No. Can you quantify? That's nuts. Can you quantify love? No. But you can quantify your social battery. So for example, every single day, you watch my time. While I stream, talk to my parents, or I talk to my friends. And then like, okay, well, today you did 4 hours. Yesterday you did 3 hours. The day before you did 4 hours. So you know that's your socially acceptance of 3 to 4 hours per day, right? And then, of course, I'm not saying that you should dictate your own social. Your body will tell you though. Your body will tell you. Your body will tell you when you're sleepy. Your body will tell you when you're hungry. But it will tell you when you're lonely, right? And it's a not necessarily a coping mechanism, but a defense mechanism, right? Your body will say, hey, you need to go out. You need to talk to people. You know. My mom feels lonely. She doesn't have a boyfriend. She doesn't have a dog. She has me. and most of her friends are retired, and she doesn't want to be retired. But also, the fact that my mom feels lonely, it makes her so nice because she's grateful for the people that she has. She's grateful for the time that she goes out. She's grateful for a lot of things, and it's a nice sentiment. Her being lonely isn't a nice sentiment, but the fact that being lonely taught her the importance of having people around you and having people in your life is great. It's amazing. It is unbelievable because we take relationship for granted. We take friendship for granted, right? We take family for granted. But then at the same time, we take those for granted. At the same time, we kind of need those people. If, and only if, okay? If. Oh, this is so shitty to say. If you keep your friends around, and it's the number of friends, right? And you keep all those friends around because you know deep down you have the need for social interaction and you don't want to be lonely. Is that a bad thing? And I don't know if it's a bad thing. Actually, I know you should be friends with someone because, well, at the same time, you should be friends with someone because you like them, of course, but you also can be friends with people because, oh man, if I don't have that friend, I'm going to be lonely and I don't know what to say, who to talk to, you know? And it's tougher. And then I'm seeing this in my mom, but I'm also seeing it in my father. My father, who had the same girlfriend for 26 years. And my dad, and I love him, my dad was possibly a perfect example of loneliness, of controlled loneliness, right? My dad, who used to have this garden, and he takes care of the garden 3 hours a day. That's his me time. That is his therapy time. That is, I need to be alone time, you know? But then he had the same girlfriend for 26 years, so he's not used to be alone. Then whenever he's alone, he say, hey, come over. Let's have breakfast together. Let's have supper together because I'm alone. And I'm like, okay, well, as a son, like as my father, I love him. And I understand feeling lonely, you know? And at the same time, I'm like, well, you call me because you're alone. You wouldn't call me otherwise. But is that a bad thing? Is he wrong for doing that? No, you're just lonely. Lonely is a problem. If I'm hungry, what I'm gonna do? I'm gonna eat food, right? If if I'm gonna go find something to relax, watch a movie, take a shower, just calm down, you know? Loneliness is a need. It's a problem. There's a solution and there's a fix. Right? But it's also something we share. What is the reason behind war? Conquering. Greed. What is the reason behind peace? Society. Morals. Values. Your morals and values are only worth it when you're with people. It doesn't matter if you're the kindest person alive when you're alone. It matters that you're the kindest person alive when you're with people, you know? Your values, your value of respect. You're not being respectful to yourself. You're the hard worker. You're not hard working for yourself. I'm hard working for myself because I make content, right? Because of that, you know. And I thought about this yesterday. It's tough. It's tough being lonely because some people I know will do a lie because they're lonely, and then they don't have anybody because. Okay. I don't like talking about this, but because I did it myself. People are gonna come live and they don't have content. They're just lonely, so they don't come in to make content. They come in because they have this need for social. And when they'll see you, they'll get excited and say, "Hey, how are you?" I'm like, "I just came in." You know? Then if the reason behind that is loneliness, can you blame them? You know? I like this guy who steals. And when you ask him why he steals, like, oh, I kind of feel I need to steal to feed my family. Okay. Oof. Okay. And it sucks. You never want to be that guy, but you know that those guys exist. you know, and it's tougher. But hey, as we say in French, c'est la vie. Anyway, love you guys. Take it easy. Peace.